Yeah, we are live. Thank you very much, everyone. Welcome to today's program. And today we are talking about financial, and our topic is kind of like talking about the difference between wealth and riches, and also financial literacy. And yes, joining me is my my second guest, Catherine Sibanda, is from Botswana, and she's been on this show before, and she's also the founder and CEO of Financial Literacy Trust Foundation in Botswana, and also Mr. Robert Kamanja, who is also the CEO of Century Microfinance, which is a microfinance based here in Nairobi as well. So welcome to the program. Kindly introduce yourselves. And
Right.
we'll ladies first.
I'll take it. Thank you very much. My name is Cathy. I'm based in Sibanda. So the financial literacy, that was so financial literacy solutions. People of, and the reason for that is the financial mistakes that people make when they when adults, because they were about financial. And if you focus, you're going to meet the young people on providing financial literacy solutions to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Robert.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Robert Kamanja, CEO of Century Microfinance Bank. Century is a regulated institution by Central Bank of Kenya. We are deposit-taking microfinance, and we offer banking services. That is, we have deposit products, we have loan products, we have trade finance products, and we also go beyond that. We support communities in various ways, especially farmers and the youth.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, today's topic is quite, it's quite an interesting topic that everybody want to kind of understand, the different aspects, and looking at straightly on, the difference between riches and wealth. And everybody want to be rich and everybody want to be wealthy, but I mean, we don't understand. Most of these people say, I'm rich on my own right. Could you tell us something little about that aspect as we dig deep into this topic, Robert?
Thank you very much. Now, that's a question a lot of people are not able to explain. The difference between a rich person and a wealthy person, and you find that aspect alone confuses even politics in our countries, because people are not able to differentiate between a rich person and a wealthy person, and most of the times you find end up voting for the rich people. The major difference actually in the two is more to do with the righteousness. How did you get your money? Is it through unrighteous means, or is it through righteous means, the right way? And so you find we are able to differentiate, because when I see you with a big car, with a big house, I'll not be able to differentiate that. But to answer that question, the first thing we look at is sources of wealth. That can tell us the difference. And as we say, the rich, it's more about unrighteousness. Or if you are, say, for example, you are involved in corruption, you are involved in other bad vices, we may not say that those are riches. Sometimes say they can come and go. So for wealth, there are only three types of wealth, and this is very, very. One of them is wisdom from God. And remember, we said the major difference is righteousness. If you're getting your righteous means, so wisdom from God, there are so many that come with that. There is issues of patience. You are able to be patient. You are able to have of gratitude. You are able to have selflessness, which is the opposite of selfishness. One of the problems we have in Africa is selfishness. And selfishness, where you think about yourself, you don't think about other people. You just think about you. So selflessness is the opposite of selfishness, where you think about other people before yourself. It's more about servanthood. So wisdom from God is quite wide. That's a topic we can discuss. And the other one is other source of wealth is talent. And each one of us have a talent. And if you look out there, most of the people who are doing very well, there are people who are utilizing their talents. The sportsmen, the musicians, the people who are in drama, in movies. These are people who have a lot of money, and they make their money very fast, and by utilizing their talents. But the problem is, if you use your talent and you don't have wisdom, it can actually kill you. And you see a lot of people who die young. A lot of people who are young people get into utilizing their talents. They get money, and they are not able to handle it because they don't have wisdom. But if you look back, people who have had wisdom, there are people out there who have been there for long. I've heard about people, TV Wada. He has been there for many years, and God bless him. And he's still utilizing his talents. But you have young people who come very fast and then they go because they don't have wisdom. How do they manage this fame? How do they manage this wealth? How do they deal with it? So talent is a very, very important source of wealth. But also talent without wisdom is dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
Then the last one, and probably that is the major discussion this evening, is savings.
Yeah.
And savings comes with so many things. It comes with planning. It comes with strategic plan. It comes with financial literacy. It comes with just understanding about money and finances. So those three, very, very key in terms of wealth generation.
Yeah. Cathy, what do you think in that aspect before, before we go into what Robert has touched in terms of financial management, which I think is going to be our next discussion. Could you add something in terms of how can you differentiate between wealth and riches? And also just probably you can talk a little bit about, he was talking about the aspect of people who actually make quick money at a short time, like, the people, players, they go play abroad, make some quick money, or, mostly talent. A musician can rise up like today, they make a lot of money, tomorrow they're broke. Yeah, so maybe you can add something on that.
Okay, he has already touched on most of the important aspects or differentiating factors between someone being rich and wealthy. And it's very unfortunate in today's society, most people confuse rich and being wealthy. So you will see that normally someone can be rich today and wake up poor tomorrow. That's the problem with rich. Yeah. And then about wealth, we are talking about accumulation of assets and also someone who also has some knowledge. So they're going to be able to invest their money and make their money work for them. But someone who is rich, normally they spend most of their money. They get their money, they spend it because, normally they are described as people who are showy. They really want to show. So that's the difference between rich and wealth. So someone who is rich, you see, I'll just I was reading something on about from the finance twin. Someone who is rich, let's say if we are talking about two ladies, one can be wearing a jacket worth $5,000, and then with shoes maybe that are worth $1,000, a handbag or a purse worth $10,000. That person is rich. And then when you talk of wealth, someone can be wearing a jacket for $10, shoes for $50, because they know the value of the money that they have. But someone who is rich, they just take the money and spend all the money that they have. So people, they focus on spending their money. It's all about money. They are chasing money. And wealthy people, they take whatever they have and invest it, such that if they are to wake up tomorrow and they are not waking, they are still going to be able to survive, because they invested and made sure that the money that they had was not only used towards their expenses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Robert, maybe you can take us through, like, financial management and all that, because I think this is also one of the key thing when it comes to financial management. I think that's what's always differentiate between the rich and the wealthy.
Hello, I didn't hear your question. I think you're breaking.
Yeah, I don't know why it's cutting, but anyway, I was just saying, when it comes to discussing riches and wealth, there's a very strong point where financial management is key. Could you probably take us through a little bit aspect of financial management, because I know that's what differentiates between the rich and the poor and the wealthy.
I think what I would say about financial management, there are quite a number of aspects that when you're managing your finances, you need to be aware about. One of them, and this is very important, is budgeting. You really have to know how to budget and plan what you have. And we have this aspect of savings. And there's this question we keep asking ourselves: what is savings? And savings is actually what you pay yourself. Is what you decide, I'm not going to spend this, I'm not going to spend this on other people, I'm going to pay myself. And you save that money. And that is a difficult thing for quite a number of us, especially in Africa, because we are a social people, and we always have people have challenges. You try to save, then someone somewhere has died and you need to contribute. So you find it's always savings is a very, very key aspect of financial management, and also debt management. There are quite a number of people who borrow money to consume things that are not adding value. They're just luxuries. Say, for example, today I may have iPhone 6. Within a very short time, there's iPhone 10 or something like that. So things keep going, and if you're not careful, if you don't manage your debt, you'll be chasing the wind. In a little tech, there's always a new design that has come up of jeans or shoes. So you buy this, and then tomorrow another one has come. You chase that. So you really have to be very, very careful to live within your means, and to have a sense of gratitude, a sense of satisfaction, because the world there is always going to be someone ahead of you, and there's always going to be someone behind you. So no matter what you do, you put up a nice house, there's someone who'll build even a better house. So you feel like you want to be in competition. So you're in competition with yourself. You're not in competition with other people. And the moment we realize that, and we realize that we just have to be who we are without comparing ourselves with other people, then we can be in a position to have proper financial management.
Yeah, exactly. Cathy, you can add something on that as well.
Okay. Maybe I can just add that for someone we are talking about someone being rich and wealthy, and he has already talked about financial. So in addition to that, for you to be able to manage your finances effectively, people need to be able to set their financial goals. What is it that you want in your financial life? Because if you don't have goals, you are always going to do anything that is trendy at the moment. If people are now buying this, you go and buy that. If this is now happening, you are going to be moving with the standards or whatever that is happening at that particular time. So it's very before you start anything, for you to be able to manage your finances well, you need to first start with your financial goals. What is it that you want to in the next coming 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, in 10 years' time? If I want to start a business in 10 years' time, and maybe it's a business that is capital intensive, if I'm planning for that now, I'm going to be able to plan adequately for the resources that I'm going to need for the business. So financial goals, because they are always going to give direction to your finances. Still on financial goals, he has already touched on the issue of budgeting. So budgeting also is key. So you set your financial goals and then you budget, then you start your savings, which normally the rule of thumb is 10 to 15% of your income each and every month, or your annual income. That is still the same, whether it's every month or so have something that you keep towards your savings, and then pay off your debts. So if you are to really succeed financially, make sure that you work on paying, not accumulating more and more debt. And you can only do that if you live within your means, you are not carried away with expenses that are not planned for. Because you'll find out that with most people, what the thing that makes up their finances is impulse buying. I go to the shop, going to buy a certain item, but when I pass by the store, I'm seeing a big rectangle sale. Even if I didn't budget for that, I'll say, people always convince themselves that, you know what, let me just buy this. I didn't budget for it, but the price is a bit low. So people really refrain from impulse buying, because that's one thing that messes people's budgets, impulse buying. So if you have your budget, you follow your budget consistently. Every time you decide to go to the shops or to go and buy anything, you go with a shopping list and you stick to your shopping list, then your finances are going to be in order. Because if you set your budget, you set your financial goals, but you are still carried away with impulse buying, that is going to affect your finances, because you'll set and you'll fail to achieve your goals because there will be no resources allocated for that, because you use the money for something else. And then the other thing is, with financial management, it needs discipline. So you can sit with the best financial advisors in the whole world, but it goes down to you. So people should really be intentional about taking care of their finances, to say, you know what, this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. So if you are not financially disciplined, people can talk and talk and talk, and it really boils down to someone taking a decision to say, I don't want to live like this anymore. This is how I want to do. I want to take care of their finances. I always tell people that if you have a legal issue, you go and seek an attorney. If you are sick, you go to a doctor. But when it comes to our finances, it's so funny that everyone is an expert in that area. So people never really want to look for help. Look for someone who can help you. If you've never drawn your budget before, sit with someone and say, I need help with, how do I start? I want to start saving. How do I start? How do I allocate my money? How do I set those targets? So people should try to get help so that they are able to do things and do things the right way.
Okay, exactly. I mean, how do we deal with one of the things that we started talking about when we were just starting this discussion is people get quick wealth, and we've seen that. I mean, people get quick money, and we've seen that in so many cases with when it comes to musicians who actually were doing very, very well, and they end up going broke, and we see them going really, really broke, but they were making a lot of money when they were maybe very successful musician. We've seen that with also players, like international football players who used to make a lot of money and then they go broke. What advice would you give to probably somebody who has an opportunity of making a lot of money now, but they actually might not make a lot of money in near future? What kind of advice would you give to such kind of people in terms of investing and saving as well? I think we'll go Cathy go first, and then Robert will come in.
Okay. We all need financial literacy. So if you are going to make a lot, if you are going,
I think I can't hear.
No, I think we lost you a little bit, Robert. But I'm just. Can you be able to hear me now?
Let me do this. Let me briefly turn off my my camera. I changed the network setting.
Okay, that's fine. Let me. Okay, it's okay. Yeah. But just go ahead, Cathy, and then we'll bring him back to the studio.
Yes, I was saying financial literacy is very important, especially when you look at those professionals that you've just talked about. You know, people who are in sports. We've seen people in music. Someone who have made a lot of money at one point in time, and maybe unfortunately by the time they die, there is nothing at all. So that's why financial literacy is very important. So financial literacy is simply having the skills and the knowledge to manage your financial resources effectively. So if you have the money and you don't have the skills, then the money is obviously going to go to waste. So if you have money, you then need to have the skills. You know, we have been talking about having a budget and all those things that we've been talking about. You can only manage if you have the skills. So everyone needs to have the skills to manage their money. Otherwise, you all make money. You would make your money today, then tomorrow you have nothing. So if you have financial literacy, you are able to decide, how much do I keep towards my retirement? How much am I putting towards my future? How much do I keep towards insurance? How much am I putting towards investments, my savings? What are my financial goals? Because if I'm making this amount of money now, in 15 years' time, if I'm not working, what is going to happen to me? So people need money skills. Yeah.
Okay, exactly. I think that's fine. I mean, Robert, what we were saying is that we've seen a lot of people make quick money, like musicians making a lot of money at once, but they actually end up being broke and miserable. Or maybe footballers, anybody mostly the talent, the talent field as well. What kind of advice can you give to such people? I mean, you've worked with different institutions and all that, and you work with a microfinance that I'm sure works with a lot of such kind of people. So what advice can you give to such kind of people?
If I got your question.
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
I think the network is bad.
Yeah, I think the network is a bit, but I'm sure you'll be able to come back. I think your network is a little bit bad, but I'm sure. Can you be able to hear us now, Robert?
I'm not hearing.
Can you be able to hear now? Let me. I think I'll remove Robert a little bit and then get it back. So anyway, I think before Robert comes to answer that question, I think what you said is quite important. But the other aspect that I think it's good to talk about is how can a young person, start saving early? Because I think saving is a culture and investing is a culture. But these people don't have a lot of money. So maybe I'm getting maybe 10, maybe even I can only save maybe less than $10 or even just $2 every month. How can they start that journey of learning how to save and learning how to invest? And what are some of the things that they need to understand?
Okay. Majority of people think that is only for people who are working or earning a salary. I've heard a lot of people where someone is saying, I can't wait for the day I earn so much. I earn $10,000. That's when I'll start saving properly. But financial literacy and saving, taking care of your finances, it doesn't matter how much money you are making. So if you can't manage $100, then you are never going to be able to manage $10,000. So the little that you have, you should be able to manage it, because even if you think your money is not enough, once you discipline yourself to always sit down and budget, you are going to see that even if the money is too little, you can still be able to save something from there. Then the other thing is, people should not really be thinking of setting thresholds for themselves. So it doesn't mean that for me to save every month, maybe I need to save maybe $50,000 every month. You can start with whatever amount that you can afford. Start with the little that you can. And the important thing is you being consistent. Consistency is key. So start with the little that you can. Because even if I'm saving $5 every month, which is 50 pula in our currency, even if I'm saving $5 every month, at the end of the month, I have saved $5 more than someone who doesn't have, so who hasn't saved at all. So it's not really about you saving or accumulating a lot of money, but taking baby steps and telling yourself that this is the goal that I'm setting for myself, and I'm going to be saving this and doing it consistently. So be consistent, start with what you can, and don't compare yourself with anyone. The other person might be saving a lot of money because they have other sources of income. Focus on yourself, set your financial goals, and they are the ones that are going to direct you. So if you have your financial goals, if, for example, I'm saving because I want to buy a laptop, I'm saving because I want to buy. Someone is saving because they want to start building. So I can't really be putting myself under pressure. Maybe hearing a friend saying, "Hey, I'm saving so much per month." So focus on your journey, stay on your financial lane, and just follow your financial goals.
Exactly.
So even if you are a student or you are not earning a lot of money or you think you're too little, start from there. Budget from that little salary and save the little that you can from the little salary that you have.
Exactly. Yeah, Robert, and I know right now you can be able to hear us. We were talking about, which let's go back a little bit. We're talking about those people who get a lot of money at once, like the musicians, the footballers, and all that. What advice can you be able to give to them in terms of saving and in terms of investment? Because, I mean, they have a lot of money, but actually end up being very broke.
Okay. Thank you, Calvin. Yes. The major issue here is chasing the wind, so to say. Is where these people are making money, they make a lot of money, and they don't have wisdom or capacity to be able to manage that money. And sometimes you find this becomes a problem and to itself, even endangering their lives. Um, it's very, very important as you accumulate wealth, you really have to know how to manage it. And what I would say, what I would tell these people or these who they have talents and they are able to make money is get a financial advisor, someone who can work with you and guide you on what you need to do. Because most of the times you find some of these people don't have people, the people who surround them are actually also looking at what they can get from there, and they may not give them the right advice. So they need to have people who can tell them what to do, to identify. They can even work with a manager in a bank who can guide them on how best to invest, and even on their spending habits. Manager will always be able to know how you are spending your money, and they can actually, I would say, it's important to have someone to work with you, a mentor, financial advisor who will show you the right ways. And quite a number of them also lose money through bad investments. They get into deals don't give them money, or they lose money conmanship. So because everyone is after their money. So and sometimes they get to a situation whereby they feel everyone is after their money, and they also their, I mean, their character. They start perceiving everyone is after me, is after money, and we have seen some of them even becoming abusive even to their parents and to the society. So it is money without proper wisdom and how to manage it. It can be quite a big problem. It can even be a bigger problem.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. I think that's quite. I think that's quite good there. I mean, one of the thing I know that really affect young people, and now let's shift a little bit to young people, and I think it affects everyone, not only young people, but in terms of speculation. And I think Cathy said something a little bit about, like, yes, I want to save, but my friend has a problem or somebody have a problem. I have to chip into my savings to be able to help them. I might not be able to refund that saving. I mean, how do we deal with such kind of cases where some of them are genuine? Every time your mom is going to call you from the village, please send me some money. Your friend has some problem, or please borrow for me some money. I will refund you, or please this and this. How do you deal with all those many places without actually not cutting off our friendship with people just because we were not able to lend them, or we're not able to give them money or even help them? How do we deal with such kind of situation? And I think we'll start with you, Cathy.
Okay, so when you talk about savings, we've already talked about you are setting your goals and then you decide to save. And then people tend to have their emergencies, which are not your emergencies. So you really need to exercise wisdom in who do you decide to lend money and whether those people are going to pay you. And from my experience, money and friends and family does not mix, because you know that if you do not mix, you know, if you give your relatives money, even if you lend them, they are not likely not to bring the money back. So what I want to encourage people to do is, once you have set your goals, if you are saving money for something, then you can't really be taking money out of that net for something that is not intended for. So set your savings, have an emergency fund. And an emergency fund is for emergencies. Emergencies. So you should be able to know that, is this an emergency? Do I consider emergency in my case? Or do I consider this an emergency? If it's not an emergency, then you can always save money towards that and use the money for that. Because the mistake that people make, I'll sit down, have an emergency fund, and then I'll start saving money towards my emergency fund. Then my friend will come and say, I have this emergency, can I? Then I'll decide to take money from my emergency fund and give them to a friend, and I'm likely not to be able to get that money back. Yeah.
Okay. Robert, can you be able to add something on that as well?
What I can say is that it is important to have a very good about money, and you know where money is going. You know your expenses. How do you spend your money? Where is what are your wants and what are your needs? You need to differentiate so that you're not just spending money on things that are not necessary. And it's also good when you are planning to invest, you know what kind of investments am I saving for, and within what time frame. So I would say goal setting is very, very important when it comes to savings. You need to have a very good plan, and you have to be able to implement it.
Okay. And what about those people who actually borrow money? Elias, I have some savings, but somebody's going to say, okay, Calvin, give me 2,000 shillings. I'm going to go to my savings, get the money out of there, and then give them, and then they might not refund. So how do I control that? How do I say no when maybe Robert is really, really in need and say, Calvin, please, can I borrow some money? And so how do we control? Because I know that's something that really affects even young people. People in the village will tell you, please send us something. You're in the city with this broke. How do you control that?
The most the best way you can deal with that, because it's actually a struggle. Savings is a struggle, as we said. People will always be out there. They need money. There's someone who needs help, and we Africans, as social beings, we feel like someone already know you have some money, and you're the thing to support that person. And I think the first thing that one needs to do is to ask yourself, some of these needs that are coming up, how can you help? How can you have a better plan of dealing with it? And there are some, like you find in the family, there are people who are having challenges with medical bills and all that. Is there a way you can support and advise them so that they can have also something they can do and they can be saving towards that? The other thing is uh, where you put your money. You can't just put your money in a normal account where you have an ATM card, you have access through your mobile phone, you have a checkbook. That you can't save money there, because you always, if you need, someone will call you at night and you can access the money in the bank immediately, and you can send them. So you need to have a locked savings account, and most financial institutions, most banks, they have this. Is an account that you don't have access to an ATM, you don't have access to a mobile phone, you can't access the money. You'll have to go physically to the bank and effect a transfer of that money. And that way, it helps to discourage you. The whole hassle of going to the bank, it beats the purpose. So you find it's times you have to have various methods that can help you to continue to stick to that plan you have.
Okay. Yeah, I would you like to add something, Cathy?
Yeah, I also wanted to say, in addition to what Robert is saying, and also the account should be, sorry, I wanted to say, in addition to what he is saying, you keep your money in that account, and the account, it should be a direct debit, because if you are trying to build a discipline, normally it's a hassle for you to say, let me go to the bank, deposit the money, but set a stop so that before you can use your money, the bank automatically will take what they have to take and keep it in a savings account for you. And then the other thing, since we are talking about young people, the other thing that young people need to do is to manage expectations. You know, we all we are here, we are in Africa, and you may be coming from a family where, you know, your family, nuclear family, relatives, neighbors, and everyone is really looking up to you. So once you start thinking, everyone will be thinking, Calvin is now in the city, so there's a lot of money, or he works at this particular institution. So what I encourage people to do is to have what you call money discussions. So once you start working, sit down with your family to say, this is how much I can commit to be able to help the family each and every month. Because once there are no defined expectations, we are always going to be expecting you. Tomorrow we are saying there's this, you have to send money because you are working in the city. There is this, you have to send money. So if you manage expectations, you are then also able to definitely set up your financial goals, start investing early, and start building your life as well. So we are not saying people should not help their families, should help the families, but they should be confines. Sit with your family, explain to them the situation and how much you can be able to help every month, to commit every month, and then you can be able to do that. But the mistake that young people do, which I've seen here even in my country, once I get employed, I'll even go home and tell them the salary that I have, and people will be like, wow, that's a lot of money. So once you are telling people that this is how much I have, you are telling them that there is money. So once you get your first job as a young person, sit down with your family, manage your expectations so that you are helping at home, you are helping your assistant where you can. You are also able to build yourself as a person. You are also able to save money towards the future. If you are to lose your job tomorrow, you should be able to survive and not live like someone who never worked at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the things that I've seen a lot, I mean, personally, I'm an entrepreneur. I mean, one of the struggles that obviously young entrepreneurs who are starting into business goes through is also the challenge of separating the business money and their money and the saving money, you know. So how can young entrepreneurs, people just getting into business, can be able to control that so that it's not only them getting money, you know, like I make my money, it's probably in that bank account that I have access to. If I need to get money there to do my things and all that, how can you be able to control that in terms of managing your business money, paying yourself, and also saving, and even saving for the business? How do you manage? How can you be able to manage the two? I think, Robert, you can probably say something in that regard. I don't know if you can be able to. Robert, can you be able to hear us?
Very well, but I've heard you, but you're still breaking a bit. I think what I've heard you say is that about separating personal money and business money.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
That one exactly.
Actually, yeah, a lot of businesses, especially startups and small businesses, is always very hard to separate the two, and they are not able to tell what they are spending for their own consumption and also for the business. For example, someone opening a shop and you find they still take whatever they are cooking at home, they still take from the shop, they take from the stocks, they don't account for it. It really becomes a problem. And the most important thing to do is to operate a very good financial system or accounting system where you set aside the money for business and you pay yourself just like the other workers. So any money you touch from the business, it has to be on record at once, so that you don't end up depleting the business without realizing it. Because some of those small monies we take, or stocks you take, and they end up now becoming very big. So it is very important to employ very good accounting practices where you operate strictly. If it's a salary and you're paying your workers, pay yourself also a salary. And if you take any money, it's an advance and deduct it from the end of the month. That way, you don't end up mixing the two. And I think it's quite a very important thing.
Okay. Yeah, Cathy, what can you say about that? And then I think you can also answer this question from Albimas. I think he's from DRC, and he's asking, sometimes you don't even tell them how much you earn, but they already know how much people in your institution earn, civil servants. How do you cope with that? Because they already know. If you're working in a bank, they know that bank pays this and this. So how do you probably cope up with now not telling them, and then they want money from you?
Okay, he has already answered or explained in detail on having an accounting system. So that is the only way you are going to be able to manage your business finances effectively. Because if you don't have anything like that, you are always going to be taking money that for the business and using it for personal consumption. And then the other important thing is paying yourself. If you don't pay yourself, you're going to be stealing from your own business, which is what most people end up doing. And then with the question that just came up regarding, at times people at home, at your parents or your guardians, they already be knowing the salary scales from where you work. Like I've already said, even if they know, and it's a matter of you sitting down with them to say, this is how much I earn, but I have to pay rent, I have to pay this, I have to pay this, I have to pay that. Because if you don't do that, let's say I start working today and maybe I manage to buy a car and I go home, everyone is going to be thinking you have a lot of money because obviously you even have a car. So if you don't manage expectations, even if people know how much you earn, but tell them, this is how much I have, but these are the needs or the things that I'm taking care of. So even if I'm getting so much, I'm still having to pay for my salary. There's tax, there's all those other aspects, because at times they will just be thinking of the lump sum that you are getting, but not knowing other things that you are doing. And then if you then need to maybe explain in detail your plans, or you are also saving and all, then have that discussion with them to say, this is how much I'm making, but this is the direction that my financial life is taking. So even if I'm earning so much, I still have to set aside money each and every month because I'm saving for 1, 2. So if they understand that, they will appreciate where you are coming from, and also be able to appreciate whatever you can commit to helping them.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, Robert, if you'd like to add something on that as well. I think his internet is a bit down, but anyway. Robert, would you like to add something in that aspect of what our friend has asked, the question from question from one of our audience as well?
Okay. I think, as Cathy has said, it's all about managing expectations, and it's also good to contribute. You also need to be responsible at home. It is something that you need to know how to handle it, because sometimes the parents may feel like you're still a baby. They need to take responsibility, and you just need to show them that you are capable of handling your own affairs, and that is important to manage them and show they can handle it, but be responsible enough to show them that you are also good in planning what you have, and you're also participating in whatever at home.
Okay. Yeah. And did you want to add something before I go to my question?
Yes. Yeah. In addition to that, also, the other thing that we can be doing is to equip your family. So instead of, if you know the expectations that you have to help at home, maybe you have other younger siblings, or siblings who are at home and they are not working and all. So you can even equip them by coming up with a small innovative business idea, where you know that you tell them that I can help you finance this, and you know that once that starts running, then they can now be able to utilize resources from there, and then you don't need to be maybe committing a lot of money from your salary and all. So it's just a matter of you sitting down, having a discussion, and seeing what can work in your scenario.
Okay. I mean, let's go to family. I know one of the things that is also a big challenge, and people married, when people get married in couples, in terms of saving and investing and all that. Um, and I mean, how should that be done? Because you find that probably maybe the wife, the husband, they're both working, they're getting this particular money, but maybe the man spends a lot in terms of is going to go out with the friends, go drinks and all this kind of stuff. So how do you manage your money? Yes, we all get maybe like $500 every month, or we all get like maybe $1,000 every month. I mean, we all have different expenses, we all have friends, we all have our own expenses. How do we actually uh, have a plan in terms of saving and investing our money as couples? So maybe you can, maybe Robert, you can tell us what you think in that aspect in terms of couples investing and then their saving, because that's one of the challenges that most couples face, because the man got his money, he spent his money, drinking and all that. The woman got her money, spends a lot in clothes and every fancy thing, and then it's all about everybody's trying to blame each other. So how can this be done professionally?
I think the first thing is to appreciate that, go back to the very essence of marriage. And marriage is a two one. And the moment people are able to appreciate that when you're married, you're one, and whatever you have belongs to one another, there is openness. People are able to disclose what they earn, and they don't put anything under the table. So it's the first thing is to be very open to each other and have a financial plan of have a budget of your expenses. You need to set aside money together. Whatever money that you receive, you put it together and allocate all the expenses. If it's the house expenses, if it's the rent, paying domestic workers, even for entertainment, you set aside. But also, it's very, very important to set aside some money for personal use. Even the gentleman, the husband, will need money to go and out with his friends. And the wife also wants to also sometimes have groups, or maybe they are saving some money somewhere. So it's always good to set aside some money for each one for their own personal use. But it's important to realize that whatever you earn, it is for all of us. Now, problems happen when people are not being open to each other, and I've seen people who even decline to pick pay slips and go with them at home because they say if my husband knows how much I'm earning, there is going to be trouble at home. So if there is no transparency and there is no openness in terms of the resources you have, there is likely to be a feeling of betrayal. People will not be able to pull in the same direction. Find even we have had cases where a husband has gone invested in buying pieces of land or investing in other things and shares of companies. The family is not aware, and then when he passes on, even they never get to know about it. So it's always important as a family to invest together, to work together and plan together, and be very, very honest to each other. And if there's a habit, and sometimes these habits are there, see how you can help each other so that whatever amount of money is being allocated to the purpose, it is something planned. But importantly, I would want to say this: it's always something we always forget about tithing. Tithing, if you're a Christian, is giving to God, and as a family, it's something you also need to agree together and set aside some money to tithe and to give to God. And remember, it is very, very clearly stated that when you don't do that, when you tithe, something happens to what remains, and is able to sustain itself. It's conversation that is quite interesting. That some quite enough people don't understand what it's all about, but it is something people need to try, and it really works.
Yeah, exactly. Cathy, yeah, I know you're married, and how do you solve this kind of challenges?
Oh, okay. I think first let's appreciate that marriage is two people with two different backgrounds or experiences, beliefs, and all. So I think the starting point is making sure that you upskill your partner in the event that maybe they're not at the same level in terms of financial literacy or understanding things financially with you. That has already covered most of the important aspects. You need to know how much money is coming in from both of you, then have all your income, then start budgeting from there. And make sure that even if you are doing your budget is not too tight such that someone can't even have a haircut. So still from your budget, you should be able to, each partner should have pocket money that they can just use without having to consult the other party. So yeah, that's yes. So because if we don't have that, then we are going to end up taking money that is intended for other things and using it for personal consumption. And then the other thing that is very, very important is the issue of wills and estate planning. You know, we all talk about making money, we want to be wealthy, we do everything that we can. But most people always forget that aspect of what will happen if I was, or if we were to die today. Because most of the time you see that we are saving all this money, we are doing all this. But if you don't have a will, once you die, you know, anything will happen to your finances. Your kids can even end up not even going to schools and all. So these are that people always overlook, but it's very important to have your will because it's going to protect your finances even when you are no longer there. So yeah, we
Yeah,
need
exactly.
will. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Cathy. I think that's a really, really good perspective and a really good way of viewing that aspect, even of the will aspect and all that. And I think maybe Robert can also add something in terms of, and I think you've said just something a little bit about, you know, being open to each other and all that. And people not, I mean, there's always a reason why probably a man doesn't want to disclose something, or there's always a reason why somebody would not wish probably to disclose something. And so maybe Robert, what are some of the problems that most likely people are going to face if they actually don't disclose probably everything in terms of their wealth, in terms of their savings, in terms of that? What are some of the things that actually might happen to this? Yeah, I hope you.
Let me hear the last bit.
Yeah, I'm just asking, what are some of the things that are likely to affect the family if people don't disclose, you know, their incomes, their savings, and all that? You find that somebody has maybe $1 million in a bank, but they won't say it. What are some of the things that might happen to them, and how do we solve this?
Okay. What I can that for is to understand the very reason why that money is there. Whatever you're doing it for your family.
Mm.
So even if you set aside money or invest somewhere and you don't inform the family, why are you investing that? So I think that goes down to trusting one another and believing in the institution you are in as marriage. Because if you have faith and you believe in where you are, you will not have a problem to share with your wife and tell her what you have. So what I would say is, I think it is not good. It's a bad thing because some of this money end up even being reverting back to the state as unclaimed assets when the family is not even aware. And sometimes we have seen instances where we are left with money. We have money and we can't be able to trace the next of kin or something like that. Because maybe someone gave another person, gave different, they didn't even share. But even as we talk about that, I think it's also important we talk about even women. A lot of times you find when someone is sharing the next of kin, the husband will share the next of kin as the wife, but the wife will most likely share her kin, her children, or her mother. So anyway, there's a problem of trust. I think there is always this feeling like suppose this guy just leaves or someone. I think what we need is we need to have a lot of trust in the family, and with that kind of trust, things are able to work very well. I have started families where they are very, very open and they have perfected the art of
Sorry, I think we lost Robert a bit, but yeah, we're actually almost finishing up. So yeah, I think it's been quite a good conversation to look at that different aspect as well. And I think as we kind of almost winding up, Cathy, you know, looking at what Robert was talking about in terms of you know, in terms of, okay, go ahead, Robert. Oh, I think we just lost him a bit, but anyway, we'll have Robert back. Yeah, Cathy. Tell me how's it feel? Tell me how's it feel? Sitting up there, feeling so high, too far away to hold me. Is that my side or his side? I think that was his side. Anyway, sorry for that. So yeah, so Cathy, I mean, Robert just talked about very important thing, and I think that's affecting almost all the families in terms of writing next of kin. You know, who is your next of kin and all that. Uh, do you think though it's quite important maybe to write your husband as next of kin, and your husband writes you as the next of kin? Do you think that's something that is important?
Yeah, it's something that is important. Marriage is built on trust. So for you to be able to do everything the way you want to be able to achieve your goals as a couple, you need to trust one another. But in instances where maybe I decide to put someone else as next of kin besides my husband, then it's communicating something. And also going back to what he said, he talked of openness. All issues should be discussed. So because once the trust is destroyed in the marriage, it will take a very long time for you to be able to do that. So with money, with any all issues that arise, people should just be transparent with one another. People should just be open to one another. And majority of people are going through divorce or families are breaking apart because of issues relating to money. You find out that Cathy was supposed to be servicing a certain loan every month and she has not been doing that. If she's asked, she'll say, no, I was using this money because there's something that I had to buy. But if there was openness in the first place, we would have known that, okay, it means instead of this, there's this other expense that we need to take care of. Because the problem with not being open to one another is if there's an expense, it means there's money that should come from somewhere to take care of that. So if it's not declared, if it's not communicated to the other partner, it means the money, you still have to take the money from the family nest to take care of that. So trust is important in dealing with money in a marriage.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important there because I mean trust issues it breaks a lot and I think one of the things that actually break most of the marriages I think is more money related. You know, when people cannot be accountable, when people cannot be transparent, especially when it comes to their money and all that. So yeah, Robert, please kindly go ahead. Yeah. Please kind of like go ahead. But I think one of our guests also is saying, Eddie saying most people put their mothers as next of kin, which I think should not really be an ideal thing. What do you think about that, by the way? You know, most people will put their mothers, and that person is married. They want to put their kids, they want to put their probably their wives or their husbands, but they will put probably their mothers as next of kin.
What I'll say is on that is I think it's not the right thing to do. Suppose the wife was able to know or the husband was able to know about that. How will they take that? They'll not trust one another. They'll feel betrayed. And I think it's informed out of maybe some mistrust coming all the way from the family, from the marriage. I would say it's important for people to be open to one another and to share one another because to share whatever they are doing because uh, financial management is a collective thing. You can't just do it alone. If you are trying to do budgeting and your wife is not aware, she's always asking for expensive things and she's not even conscious about the spending, it doesn't work. So it's always important that people can work together and pull in the same direction and decide collectively. Sometimes you may decide you don't want to take your kids to an expensive school because you have a project or you have a program you want to do, and once you sit together and agree, it becomes a collective thing. But if it's not very well communicated, you find people pull in different directions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important there. I mean, as we wind up, I just wanted to also ask, I think kind of almost the last question, in terms of, right now we're in COVID situation, and things are really tough, and priorities become quite fast. What advice can you give in terms of people saving and people investing? And I think this one we're going to give probably our regional aspect. I mean, Robert is based in Kenya. He knows how the Kenyan economy is. What advice can you give people who would like to save or invest? And would you give them probably some of the areas that you think would be nice for them to actually invest in or save into? And the same thing with Cathy in terms of regions like Botswana and southern region, because I know they're almost the same. What are some of the what advice can you be able to give, or what are some of the areas, investment opportunity that people actually can be able to look at? And I think we'll start with Robert.
Okay. I think from a and talking to the young people, what I would say, there are opportunities out there. I know we are in difficult times, and every business is affected by COVID. Businesses are low. We are in kind of a recession. A lot of businesses are shutting down. And what I would say is, like Kenyan context, seen a lot of interventions from the government in trying to support the economy. Part of them is in terms of creating jobs. Like we have seen the budget for 2020 this year, next year.
Yeah, 2020, 2021, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah, I'm saying the budget for 2020, 2021.
Yeah, 2020, 2021. This budget is looking at so many things. There's quite a lot of resources that have been put out there. Like, for example, setting up 10 billion Kenya shillings to support 200,000 jobs for unemployed youth.
Yeah, sorry, I think we lost Robert a little bit, but yeah, we should be able to have Robert back in a few. I think, Cathy, you can just go ahead, and then we'll have Robert come in next.
Okay. I would like to say, I think one of the greatest lessons that we've learned from this COVID-19 is the importance of having an emergency fund. When this whole thing started at the beginning of the year, we never really imagined that it's something that could come, hit us hard, country being on lockdown, people staying home for 2-3 months with no salaries. What has been happening here in Botswana is the government even had to offer salary subsidies where people were basically being paid by the government, and it's something that we never really anticipated would happen. The reason why I'm saying one of the greatest lessons or learnings that we can take from this is an emergency fund is, I think at one point every person had to sit and say, if only I had buffer savings somewhere, I could be utilizing them, because COVID-19 hit everyone. The informal traders who sell on the streets were home, and it means they were not making any money. So that means they were not able to pay their rent, take care of their daily expenses and all that. And people who were employed, others were retrenched, or people were even getting enough salaries or no salary at all, because the company is not operating, they're not generating any revenue. It means they are not going to be able to have money to pay you. So from all this, I think it's a great lesson that we need to be able to learn how to take care of our finances. We need to budget. As soon as the economy recovers, people are now back to work. Start building on your savings as soon as you can. If you have never done that, or you were not saving before, start building on your savings. Start building, having that emergency fund, because we can now agree that everyone was able to say, or notice the realize that it's very important to have one. So let's learn. Yes. So let's learn. Let's learn. Take care of our finances and then start building our savings. If you are back at work now, start building. Do it bit by bit until you manage. And then with the issue of investing, the challenge is now majority of people do not really have money. If we are to be honest, yes. So if you are to invest, invest with what you call risk capital. So don't take the buffer savings or the little that you have from your depleted savings to invest in it. The reason why you should use the risk capital is when you invest, you have to use money that if you are to lose, you will not really suffer any financial consequences. So for now, people should really be focusing on cutting expenses, building their savings, and seeing how to really build up what was depleted by COVID-19.
Okay, exactly. I think that's quite a good point there in terms of looking at where to invest and what's really is needed. And I think it's it's very important to be able to look at that particular perspective. And I mean, I generally like the discussion. I think it's been very good discussion, and I think it's been quite diverse and quite detailed. And I love also a few questions have been coming on board. So I think it's been quite a good discussion. I just wanted to say thank you very much, Cathy, for always creating time to be able to join this discussion. And I'm sure Robert also will join us just to say some few remarks as well. But I think it's very important for us to be able to understand the saving opportunities and also understand the investment opportunities and all that. And I think that's really important. And also and I think some of the things that you didn't touch on that I think probably maybe you can say something as we wait for Robert to join us is, I mean, how can we create that culture of financial literacy in our kids growing up? Because I think it's quite important to do that from initial stage. How do we actually create that culture? And do we need to take them to school to learn financial inclusion? Because I know you do have like boot camps for kids to be able to financial literacy and all that. How can we train our kids to actually start learning about finances early enough?
Okay, so anyone who wants to teach their kids about money, try to look for someone who is experienced in that area so that they can help you or take the burden away from you of teaching about money. The challenge with teaching kids about money is the adult themselves do not understand financial literacy, so it becomes a challenge for them, or that is why most are not really doing it. But let me also emphasize that and let's start from the roots. So if you are doing a family budget, make sure that you call your kids, they sit around the table and they know that you are doing. And kids can learn financial literacy from as young as 3 years old. The only difference is you are going to be teaching them about money at their level. You can teach a 3-year-old how to save, buy them a piggy bank, and make sure that they always keep something inside. And what parents do not know is that kids can save money as long as and teaching your kids about money will also take the stress away from you. You also be able to do your or reach your financial obligations without you planning this and the child needing something else. So when we do our family budgets, when we do our family meetings, family financial meetings, our kids sit around the table so that they know that at this moment, this is the project that as a family we are embarking on. We are building as a family. So it means there are no opportunities for you to be expensive shoes or going to that particular school. Yeah. So let's teach about kids about money and make sure that they appreciate. Because some of us, or maybe let me just say personally me, I grew up in a home where I was never taught about money. So I really, when I learned about financial literacy, I really saw that, had I learned financial literacy from a young age, I would have learned taught. So that is why I believe that kids should be taught, and I'm also going to do the same to my kids, teach them about money when they're young, so that they make the same financial mistakes that I made. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, let's, Robert, if you can be able to hear us, please, let's just make final remarks as we close up. Let me see if Eddie has something. So, yeah, so I think Eddie has like last question. Probably you can. I think this is just a comment from Eddie. Says, I think we need to teach the young ones about money, and things like tax lesson should be introduced as common units in the university. What do you think about that, Cathy?
Okay, let me also start by saying this statement that I got from the National Financial Educators Council. So it says, we spend 15 to 18 years in school learning about how to make money, but we never taught about how to grow and invest our money. So if you are to meet, or if you met me just after university and ask me, oh, why did you study this particular course? I'll tell you, because I'm studying this because I know that I'll get a good job and be able to make money. So we spent all these years from grade 1 until university being conditioned or thinking that, I want to make money, I want to make money, I want to make money. But no one really takes that time to teach kids to say, after you make money, what's the next? After you make money, then how do you grow your money? How do you invest your money? And it's so unfortunate that we expect the same kids to out of nowhere be able to manage their finances when they were never taught. So I believe that should be done, not even, he said university, but I believe financial literacy should be introduced in schools from primary school, from junior school, senior school, and it should be introduced as a tested subject, not an optional where someone can decide to do it or not to do it. So financial literacy should be introduced as part of the school curricula so that kids are taught about money from they grow up understanding money, such that by the time they get their first job, they're not going to make mistakes or get into debt immediately.
Okay, I think just our final question as we wind up now, probably you can give an answer to probably that, or make maybe your comment, and then maybe just tell us how people can be able to reach you, how they can be able to contact you as well, and then we'll try bring Robert and just to close it up.
Okay, what's the question?
Yeah, the question is there. Can you be able to see what basic advice on financial literacy management can you give to an illiterate farmer? So like a farmer who have no idea on financial literacy, what kind of advice can you give them?
Okay, what advice can I give them? Okay, so
yeah, because I know farmers. Sorry, just before you go, I know farmers. They have their produce, maybe like milk. They want to go and sell, save the money. They have to buy probably the feed for the cows and all those kind of stuff. What advice can you be able to give them in terms of financial management?
Okay, they should. I wouldn't really set up a system because already we are about a farmer who is illiterate, but they should be able to whenever they let's say they go and they sell something, take that money, just use everything that they get for personal consumption. So for them to be able to realize or make profits from what they are selling, it means they have to just sit down. If you are selling maize, I have 10 bags of maize. If I have 10 bags of maize and I'm selling them for so much, this is how much I'm going to make, and then I can save this for seeds. So people should not really be thinking of financial literacy as something that is very complex. It's just someone sitting and say, I have 10 bags of groundnuts, or I have this that I'm going to sell. So if I'm going to sell each bag for this much, this is how much I'm going to make. And then the other thing is, even if you are a farmer or anything that you are doing, make sure that you open a bank account. Because if you have your money under your mattress, it's going to be easy for you to take the money and use it for anything. If you are home and maybe there's no meat, you can just take, because you are just pulling from the mattress. So keep your money in a savings account, because you not only are you keeping the money safe and secure, but if your money is in a bank account, is going to earn interest for you. Remember, interest is money that you get, and it's money that, how do I explain it in simple terms?
Yeah, interest is obviously the money that you gain from the principal. You know, the money that accrued from your principal. Yeah.
In a savings account, it will earn interest for you, and the money will be saved than if you keep your money at home. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I think, and probably maybe what I can add on that is also just have a simple balance sheet, which is just expenses and income. So I think that's very, very important for, I know he or she might be illiterate farmer, but I'm sure they understand, oh, this is my expense, because definitely they're going to buy feed, and they're going to maybe sell that milk or maybe sell that honey. So it's very simple. Like, just have a simple you know, expenses and, you know, income and expenses sheet where you write your income, you write your expenses, and try to balance them. So I can't really call it a balance sheet, but just more like expense income sheet where you can actually be able to have that. So yeah, thank you very much. Please, Cathy, just give us probably maybe how people can get in touch with you, maybe your email address, your website, or something like that. So just in case somebody would like to get in touch with you.
Okay, we have a Facebook page. It's called Financial Literacy Trust. Financial Literacy Trust. So you can drop us a message there. We will be able to assist you, or you can send us an email to info@FLT for Financial Literacy Trust, info@fltbotswana.co.bw. And to review or to check what we do, our website is www.fltbotswana.co.bw. And we are also available on WhatsApp. You can still, if you have an inquiry or anything, you can still reach us on WhatsApp. The number is +267 77 00 6923. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know if Robert is still there. You can just say a word and then we close up.
Okay. Thank you, Calvin. I don't know what happened to my video. Can you hear me?
That's fine. We can hear you very loud and clear.
Okay. Maybe before I close, there is something, an element of the farmer that someone had asked about it. And
yes, please.
I would say, if you look at the current farmer today, if you visit the village there, you don't find granaries anymore. I think the granaries have disappeared, and you know, granaries were a savings. That's where farmers would, when they harvest, they'll save and put in that store, and you know, sometimes the food will stay even for the whole season to the next one. But now we find quite a number of farmers, whatever they produce, they sell. And you end up finding when there's drought, they don't have savings. So I think the first thing would be to start by storing what they produced. What can be stored, they should store. And then the rest, they should also have that account in a bank. I think for me to conclude, I would say we are Century Microfinance Bank. We are in Nairobi, Bihi Towers, 8th floor, Moi Avenue. And our numbers 0735 792281. You can also send an email to rkamanja, KAMANJA @century.co.ke. Karibuni sana. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I think that was quite a good discussion there. And thank you very much for everyone who participated. Thank you, Albi Salem. Thank you, Eddie. Thank you. Quite a lot of people actually participated in this. Geoffrey. I mean, quite a lot of people. Thank you very much for joining us. Tomorrow, we're actually having a very interesting conversation. We'll be having quite a lot of young Africans, and I think you kindly stay tuned. It's going to be at the same time. Thank you very much, and I would like to wish you all a wonderful night.